had intended to simply ask questions tonight. But in doing so, I would be assuming that all of us are in agreement about certain basic facts and laws. After the last meeting, I do not believe that assumption to be valid. At that meeting, the question was asked concerning the status of Trail 2, whether ATVs had been granted permanent or probationary access. Despite this vote occurring a mere 42 days before, neither the city attorney, the city manager, city clerk, nor the city commission was able to give the correct answer. The motion at that meeting ends with, and revisit the use of trail number 2 by October 15, 2010. Speed limits, dust control, and enforcement were also discussed prior to that vote. And yet, when Mr. Albert complained about ATVs trespassing and operating in a reckless manner on his property, no one spoke up. No one asked the details. No one even bothered to offer a platitude of, "We'll look into it." Of course, we also discovered that city commissions had instructed the chief of police not to enforce certain laws. I fully understand the vital role that discretion plays in law enforcement. Everyone who rolls through a stop sign neither deserves nor receives a citation. But by what right does any city commission have to control what laws are ever enforced, especially in this case, state laws? I also intend to confine my comments to what was actually said at public meetings. I do not know what someone was thinking, what they meant to say, or what was said at private meetings. Words matter. Motion should be well-reasoned and clearly stated. The city charter states, except for emergency ordinances, no ordinance shall be finally passed by the city commission at the same meeting at which it is introduced. The charter also states all other acts of the city commission and all acts carrying a penalty for the violation thereof shall be by ordinance. Further, Michigan law states that ORV operation on local government lands is subject to ordinances and signing or posting. ORV access routes may be established by local ordinance. Additionally, when Mr. Birchall wanted clarification of the motion, he asked, "So you're wanting to make it all legal now?" "Yes," Toth replied. "An ordinance that would make ATVs legal in the city as it's currently being done?" Ms. Toth replied, "Within the caves area." Clearly, the vote was on establishing a city ordinance, a violation of the city charter. Mr. Labs went on to add that users in non-designated areas would be breaking the law and could be ticketed. Bob Erspamer said he would prefer that because the law would pretty much be etched in stone, and it is easy to enforce because the law would be clearly defined. Labs asked Toth if that was part of her motion. "I will add that," Toth responded. "Sounds like penalties to me." The motion also refers to current access to city-owned land through the caves area as shown on the map. "I have a question," said Commissioner Lamb. "At one point in one of the meetings, they said that there were 31 access points into the caves. Have those ever been mapped? I have never seen one. Do you know where those 31 access points are?" Gordy Koski said, "Yeah, I've got them on the GPS. I went through the caves area to find all the access points." "But is there a map?" Ms. Lamb repeated. "Is there a map of them?" "No, ma'am, there isn't," Koski replied. "GPS coordinates is all we have." "There is no map, so we would be voting on something we have no idea about where we were voting on. Is that correct?" Lamb asked. "You'd just be voting on the city-owned land. I mean, like I said, you guys can't vote on somebody else's land. This is city land," Koski explained. "But how can we vote on it if we don't know where the access points are?" Lamb asked. "Again, that question is for us to decide. It's not on them," Marina said. "Well, no, I asked if there was an actual map," Lamb explained, "because I asked several times to see an actual map of where the trails are that they're asking for." Noreen responded, "But I think he's answered that. The map does not exist." Later, Mr. Koski stated that he and Bob Erspamer had a meeting in the hallway, and they agreed that a defined area was necessary for proper enforcement. He asked for geographic boundaries that would fully describe the caves area. "Sam's got a map," Ms. Toth declared. "Which is it? Does a map exist? Does it meet legal criteria? Who made it? What are their qualifications?" Toward the end of the meeting, Ms. Toth said, "From earlier, I guess I would like to direct staff to identify saleable portions of property in the so-called caves area. The map area we receive title work on and have appraisals and bring that back to the City Commission for consideration for further action by the first meeting in September." Additionally, I'd like to direct staff to work on motorized routes throughout the city and determine if it would be advisable to add additional motorized routes with ATVs on them. Current routes for snowmobiles to expand on an earlier discussion. To whom was she speaking? According to the city charter, except for formal inquiry, the city commission shall deal with the administrative service solely through the city manager. The city commission shall not issue orders to any subordinate of the city manager, publicly or privately. Violation of these prohibitions shall constitute misconduct in office. Can any commissioner, as an individual, order even the city manager to do anything? Could another commissioner have directed staff to not follow Commissioner Toth's directive? How much time and taxpayer money will be spent following her directives? Under planning and zoning, the charter states, the planning...
Mr. Frank, please wrap it up. Your time is up.
Yes, I will, just like everybody else, and allow it to finish. I will. The Planning Commission will coordinate development, improvements, upgrading, revitalization, and other activities in the city. It should develop a comprehensive master plan for the city to guide and accomplish a coordinated, adjusted, and harmonious development of the city. The plan may be adopted in individual sections which will be integrated into the whole. The plan will include a land use plan, community facilities plan, utilities plan, transportation plan, and urban design plan. If the City Commission, by 4/5 vote of its entire membership, overrides the decision of the Planning Commission, reasons therefore will be given to the Planning Commission for its subsequent consideration in the development of the plan. On February 2nd, 2009, the Parks and Recreation Committee resolved to move forward with the creation of the Miners Memorial Heritage Park to include...
Mr. Frank, I asked you to please wrap up.
I am wrapping up, ma'am.
How much more do you have?
When
It
I'm
sounds like you
finished.
still have a number of pages to go.
I have one more page, ma'am.
You are done.
First
Your time
Amendment,
is up. You are
First
done.
Amendment law specifically
You
states
have a
you are,
designated time.
which must be equitably enforced for all people. In the
You were
past,
asked
this
to
commission
please wrap
has
it up.
allowed
We
people
have asked
to
other
overcome.
people.
Mr.
Mr.
Gray.
Earsponder?
She wants you to wrap it up, she's in charge of me, you must wrap it up. I'd like to speak, please. I'd like to yield my time to Steve. Why
No.
not? Why not?
Mr. Cossey, am I required to yield time?
Mr. Cossey, in the past, they've allowed people to exceed the time limit.
All I know is that designated times have been upheld. If you're past your time limit, she is within her rights to ask.
Mr. Cossey, I acknowledge that the commission has the right to set time limits. However, First Amendment law also states that they must be equally enforced.
Well,
In the past,
I
people have allowed...
suggest, Mr. Frank, if you don't sit down, you'll be able to explain your position to a judge in the morning.
This city has gone to hell, you know that, it has gone to total hell.
I am not resisting, however, I do not choose to yield my time. You are violating my First Amendment rights. In the past, you have allowed other people to exceed their time limit. Just last meeting,
Yes,
Mr.
please.
Gallinal was allowed to exceed his time.
Mr. Frank, you can either sit down or you can remove, that's what she's requesting.
And by remove, what do you mean, sir?
I mean physically remove you, that's what I need to do.
Is that your choice?
I'm giving you the choice.
No.
All right.
I am not resisting, however, I am not willingly leaving the meeting. I maintain that my First Amendment rights have been violated. I am not resisting, however.
Mr. Albert, you've already waived your time.
I can't yield it, I'm not allowed. Can I speak, or are you going to deny my rights?
Go ahead, you have,
This city fails to use any kind of facts on any decision. You don't study things, you don't weigh things out, you just go ahead and willy-nilly make decisions. Now, it's ridiculous that the deer hunt, I have nothing against that deer hunt. Is it being effective? He asked the questions. You don't know if it's being effective. As a businessman, I've been in business for 30 years. I wouldn't have lasted a year if I would have operated my business in that manner. I have to. If you want to make a new business decision, you kind of weigh everything out. You make all your decisions based on facts and figures. If I make a new business decision and that decision isn't making me money, I got to stop it. This city is wasting time, money, and effort.